Welcome to Her Game, Her Story, India. What we have here is a media training program on women's sport in India that is the fruit of an extended period of research that was conducted by Bath Spa University, England, with Jadavpur University, Kolkata, India, and Sportsworks, Delhi. We've been working at this throughout the year, and we've been making contact with sporting organizations in India. We've been making contact with sportspersons across different parts of India, in Bengal, in Delhi, in Jharkhand, and in various other parts of India. And what we've been trying to come up with is an understanding of women's sport and the particular areas in which women's sport seems to be sort of generating excitement in India amongst Indian audiences. And out of that comes a training program which, for the first time, will encourage and educate and inform journalists, both current journalists, practicing journalists, as well as aspiring journalists, on the nature of women's sport coverage, the nuances of women's sport coverage, and the requirements and demands of the sector.
So the course itself is a short course and really entails journalists, broadcast journalists, print journalists, the ability to be able to approach covering women's sports in a more informed and educated way, as opposed to currently at the moment, although there is some fantastic coverage which is happening, there isn't really a specific platform for women's sports. So then that's specifically for media professionals. So what we're hoping to do is, rather than, we're sort of pushing the narrative essentially that it's not men's sports, it's not sort of football and then women's football. You're looking at covering men's football and women's football. So the two are sort of given a parity, and this platform should enable people to be able to get some slightly more kind of nuanced information about the specific sport that may differ slightly when it's played by women. So it'll cover a range of sports, and it'll cover not just the actual logistics of covering those sports and things to think about, different ways of framing, different ways of perhaps approaching that sport, but also some wider issues there as well. So we're exploring societal shifts, so ways in which perhaps the rise of women's cricket, for example, has had more than just a difference in terms of the broadcast landscape, but actually some shifts within those sort of generational cultures as well. And the messages that it brings, and really sort of hoping that by being able to make it easier to cover women's sports, we're being able to encourage more coverage. Through encouraging more coverage, we're really getting that message all the way through the society and the culture that this is just as important. There's a parity there. So really we're hoping it will be a really useful aid to not only drive that narrative that women's sports needs to be at the top of the agenda, but also keep that message for the younger generations coming forward, that there's a place for them, that there's a platform for them, and that their story, their sport will be heard.
One of the things that has been a revealing part of this project is the amount of support that we've been able to get. We've had that support from different sections of the Indian media, mainstream Indian media, both national and regional. We've had the support from sporting organizations. We've had the support from sportspersons, Olympians. We've had them. We have had sports managers. We've had advertising and publicity specialists contributing to our cause. So out of this, what we've seen is that there's an enormous appetite, and that appetite has lent very generously to the project that we have. Out of which there is this unique training program. There's two aspects to the training program. There is a participative aspect, which you can undertake through the web portal itself. And of course, there is the proper training program, the full-fledged training program that you would be able to access at different points of delivery across sites in India.